All right, so you guys are now tuned into a our usual weekly podcast where we interview folks that are working in the film industry at all levels. Sarah, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the scene?
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me on this. This is my first podcast, so bear with me here a little bit. But honestly, growing up, I never thought I would be doing this. I looking back now in my childhood, I see where I played with cameras and the VHS family camera, and it's now I'm kind of seeing it oh I realized that I'm actually doing this as a job. I never thought that would even be possible as a kid, but honestly, it all kind of started from the skate shop. I used to work at a skate shop, and a few of the local skaters and everything. This is the time when standard definition and HD was a big thing. The switch was happening, and this is
Oh,
where
so
I
you're right in the cusp of that.
yeah, so right when the transition was happening and you could really see a difference, and it's just wow, you can really get a cinematic look with these cameras that aren't in the film world and industry right now. And so this is where I ended up meeting my husband. Film actually kind of brought us together. I saw him on the big screen. Him and his friends did a skateboard movie called This Is Reality, and it got a little bit of distribution throughout the skateboard world. But it's funny because that ended up bringing us together. But it was us together in college, us working as a team. I went to a University of North Carolina where I didn't go to film school, but I had a great professor. His name was William Davis. He's actually an Art Institute instructor at the Art Institute of Charlotte, but he happened to work for UNC Charlotte at the time. So I had an Art Institute professor at a state university, which was great. And he really taught us just the basics and everything. But not just that, but actually while I was in college, I worked under a lot of other production companies as a PA, and I slowly really naturally got into the camera assistant jobs and everything. And I just naturally had this ability to just kind of, I call it tinkering. I like to fix and put things together. How can I engineer this into working and fit properly? So that was kind of always my little knack. So I kind of just fell into that. But it's funny because my school gave me the ability to start my business actually. So I don't know if your school has it, but did you have did you go to film school, I'm guessing?
No, I didn't.
Did your school did your school have rental cameras or anything like that you could rent out?
At I did film school more like at high school level, and they did have like access for rentals and all the equipment, and but like not so much experience on the college level.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, my high school didn't have really anything. So that's where I got my first camera. It was a Rebel XT. And that's where I got really into photography and art history. And I really started focusing on composition and why certain items are placed in certain positions to help your eye follow directions. They're pretty much the direction where you want to put your eye. So I feel that in high school, I didn't really get to film so much in high school as much as I wanted to, but definitely in college. So back to what I was saying about the camera rental, my school had these T3i Canons, and it was just one, and nobody in the school used it, not a single person, because people weren't really taking it seriously at my school, or they had their own gear or anything like that. So we would rent out the camera for free on the weekends, and we
Hmm.
would go and film small business commercials, music videos, sorority videos, and slowly by those little jobs, I was able to afford my first come up camera, which was the 7D, which was pretty cool at the
Oh,
time.
that's a huge leap from the Rebel.
Yeah. And so like I was able to download a Black Lantern on it so you could actually film like raw and everything. It'd get like, you'd have to watch out for the temperature because it would get hot.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those things where like I was starting to slowly dive into more like the color aspect and realizing like Canon colors versus Sony colors. Like I started seeing that and realizing that. And so that was
That was like right around the time where like DSLRs were something that you can shoot with on like a pretty high level product, right?
I'm sorry, what?
That was pretty much like right when like DSLRs were like the good up and comer cameras for everybody to just like film and do photography with, right?
Yeah, it was like, I mean, it still wasn't like the best thing, but I mean, at the time, like DSLRs were definitely taking over the marketplace and it was becoming a lot more popular. And so just being able with that $300 investment, like of the 7D plus using the school's camera, I eventually was able to buy a 6D. So
Nice.
so every time like my husband, he's my husband now, but at the time he was an economics major. So he was very good at knowing like as a business, because we started deciding that like when we started making money we needed to have an entity, and so we called ourselves CLT Production, which is like Charlotte the airport, kind of like the like three-letter word for it. So when we started CLT Production, we knew we didn't want to go into debt. We didn't want to buy the newest red on the market. We didn't want to like like we were still college kids. Like we did not want to go leave college with a crazy amount of debt. It was just, we just couldn't afford it, you know? So like,
So you were basically making money during college because you picked up like essentially like a side hustle in production, and it just scaled its way up.
yes.
That's
And,
really
but
cool.
I tell you, the trick is as a lot of filmmakers like hate this world, and I like I had to step away from it too, because like it was definitely something I did not want to do nor plan to want to like continue doing, but weddings every single weekend, like after like I'd get all my school stuff done, I would seriously be at a wedding. I wouldn't be going to parties. I wouldn't be like hanging out with friends. I was seriously going to wedding after wedding after wedding. It got to a
Those
point where,
pay the bills. Those pay the bills.
oh my gosh, you have no
When the industry
idea.
is slow, you know what's not
You
slow?
have no
Getting
idea the
married.
kind of hustle we were doing. I got the kids in my class involved to where I and another girl would go to a wedding. My husband and his friend from my class would go to another wedding, and we would double up on the weekends. We were doing like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, oh my gosh, we knew it like the back of our hand. Like, oh, here's this coming, you know, like we
Like
knew
just
the
all
setup, we
timed
knew the
flawlessly. You
shot,
come
like,
in, just like
yeah,
look around the room. Ah, placement here. Get some
yes.
shots there.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yeah. Like it was such a hustle, but like we knew we didn't want to do that at the same time. But it weddings really taught us how to film run and gun, and to really change that exposure, change your like getting your settings like right quick, like, and that like really helped us like grow into like better filmmakers and everything. So after we started like really doing that, we bought the red through like weddings and everything. And that's when like,
Funded by wedding
oh,
shooting.
it really was. I will say like we did like we started a relationship with one of the red sellers. His name's Nick Watkins from Red. And we had consistently like talked to him months and months and months, and like, hey, like if you ever like come across like a used red or like any battle tested, like let us know. We want to be the first ones to know. And lo and behold, like I think it was like maybe 2.5 years later, he found one all like kitted out, like we had the EF mount, like everything we needed. And so like after that, it became like a gear thing. Like, okay, yeah, you got like the camera, but like you have the accessories to like do other stuff too. So like slowly but surely, like eBay was like my like God sent, because like I was able to find like everything I needed at like a decently affordable price, but like it allowed me to save money. Like
Mm-hmm.
growing the business rather than like going into debt. So that was like our biggest goal and focus throughout this thing. Like, we're not going to go into debt. Like, any profit we have, we're going to put it back into that. And being in college helped because I opted and like stayed at home and everything. So I had the at least the luxury of staying with my parents at that time, which allowed us to save money. Probably lived with our parents a little bit too long, longer than we wanted to, probably. But it
The
was
sacrifice need to be
yeah,
made.
it was worth the red. Okay.
You're saving probably like anywhere between $500 to $800 a month, easy,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
All
Oh
that
my
money right
god.
back into gear, right back into gear.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. So much. But eventually, after we graduated, Kurt and I had a discussion. We were like, we're gonna make this full time. Like, we're gonna make this work. And my degree was in psychology and a sociology and film minor. So like, I like to handle a lot of like the client stuff, like getting to really know what they want and like helping out with the emails and everything. But Kurt is like our like golden child. Like, he is the one that's like calling people, he's emailing, he's on the lead sites. Like, he's the one really getting us like the business out here. Like, he's really killing it, definitely selling it. But
So it's like a
honestly,
good combination to have
it,
like
it really was. It
your
was a
your side hustle is like cinematography, and then you come from a psychology background, so you know how to like deal with the client like
oh
while
yeah,
working out the deal, and then Kurt handles the sales and the business scaling and making sure like all the revenue makes sense. Like
oh
it
yeah.
sounds like y'all had like the dream team right there.
Oh yeah, and it's cool because like when you work with somebody for a long time, like you get to know each other's styles and like how each other like to light, and so it's like you can almost like know their setup before they even go in there. Like, even for like lighting plots or anything, like we're on like the same wavelength, which is like
So
makes like production so easy.
how many years did it take for you to scale your way up from the Rebel to the Red? And
Mm,
like roughly how many jobs a month were you guys running to be able to accomplish that?
I would say probably about like 3.5 years. It
Three and a half
it
years.
really wasn't too long. We
So it was
really
like
like,
one camera upgrade per year then almost.
almost, yeah. And we're still upgrading now, but I'll get to that in a minute. But once we started upgrading, like once we first got that red, like you could just like tell from just like the difference, the look in the monitor. It just like had such a more cinematic look than we were even used to with the DSLR.
Yeah.
So we instantly became like head over heels over red and really like promoted like having the red. Like, we were like red cinematographers. And so like for the market here, like that's what we really promoted. And honestly, it's given us great opportunities and jobs now. We've been in business for about going on 8 years now. And we've had clients from like NASCAR, Coca-Cola, Arby's. We also have like ESPN, Complex. We've done like a bunch of like really great like clients out for like out here in North Carolina. Like never would I think that like these people would be coming out here like spending the money doing these sets, but they are, which is like really really awesome.
Wait, so
Like,
you're based in North Carolina right now, not Los
yes,
Angeles.
no, North
Oh.
Carolina, yes. That's why I'm on a little bit of a time difference here.
You don't have a lot of competition out there, do you? You guys pretty
I
much like
Yes and no. Out here, it's a big corporate market,
mhm.
and NASCAR and sports is really, really big. But I can't. I don't want to talk too much about our competition. But I mean, for the most part, I feel like we're definitely up there with them for sure. But it's cool because like just recently, we just wrapped on a project for ESPN. This was crazy. Like,
Mhm.
we all of a sudden get a phone call at like 8 a.m. in the morning, and it's like, hey, this is ESPN, can you come out to like a shoot in 2 hours? And lo and behold, I already have my camera batteries charged, everything's perfect. My car was actually like ready and packed, like I was ready to go.
Like just so happens.
And like the whole entire time we're thinking like this is for like a football player, And where I live, like I'm kind of like neighbors with a bunch of like NASCAR drivers. There's a bunch of NASCAR drivers here. So once we
What?
start
That's
going
cool.
into this one like little area, I'm like, is this a NASCAR driver? Like I don't think a football player would be living all the way out. Like I don't think he'd be living here. And lo and behold, we're doing uh like a like the opening, like we're pretty much part of this collaborative video that the ESPY Awards this year did. And
Whoa.
we pull up to,
Congratulations.
thank you. So we pull up to Bubba Wallace, the NASCAR driver's house.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just like in his living room, like they're interviewing him like via like Zoom and everything. And it was for like the Black Lives Matters opening ceremony for the ESPY Awards. And like, so just turning on the TV and seeing that and be like, oh my gosh, like, because it was literally like a few days and then it aired. Like it was so fast. And so it
So
was
it
just,
was just like a shoot and dump project. Like you guys weren't
yeah,
having post or anything. Okay.
yes, like no planning, no nothing. And it was just like, wow, like that just happened. And like, that was like so big. So like for me to see, like thinking like when I was young, like I couldn't do this as a job to like now, like I'm still semi living in my hometown, like, and like making this work. It's just like, it's so incredible, like film, like it really is like how it takes you. And like, even now, like with the clients that we have been doing, which like I'll like tell you now, but we're like, it's getting inspected right now. But oh, I didn't tell you, we ended up upgrading to the Scarlet W Dragon, I think like 3 years
Ooh.
after, three, no, maybe, no,
So
maybe,
real quick, how many years have you been doing this counting college till now?
oh my gosh, hold on, I don't even know. Um, so it was like, I'd say 8 years. Eight
Eight
years, like
years.
getting like with first pay, you know, like that, like $300 paycheck that you
First,
get for the
first
music
paycheck.
video. For
Was
the
it even a
music
paycheck
video,
or was it cash?
yeah, it was cash, you know. You never see him again, you know,
Yeah.
like. But yeah, but like, and then so like after, I'll probably say like maybe 6 or 7 years into it, that's when we bought the Red Dragon. And then now we're
So your
probably,
previous red held for like several years before you upgraded again.
oh yeah, I still have it. I
Oh,
honestly
well, you
just,
need to. Like, it sounds like at the scale that you're moving at, like having multiple cameras at your disposal, you can
yeah,
send like multiple teams out, right?
yeah, it's well, we use it a lot now as just our second angle. We run like the Dragon as like the A cam, and then the Scarlet MX as like the second cam. But like now we're like slowly seeing that a lot more clients, a lot more like bigger sets and bigger like kind of gigs. A lot of them are asking for like the mini, and like we realize that, and like I'm too obsessed with red. I'm like red forever, but like my husband's like he's a really talented DP, and like I really like want him to like follow his dream too. So like we're actually like in the process of buying a mini right now. So
The Ursa
it,
Mini
huh?
or Ursa Mini or
Oh no, no, no,
red?
no,
Thinking
no,
red, red or die.
the, no, the airy mini. I wish
Oh,
I was in
Airy
a
Mini.
kimono, honestly, but I think it looks so cool. But we're in the process right now of buying the area mini, which
Hmm.
for me, it's a little bit of a scary transition because like I'm not as familiar with that camera, like with red, like I know it with the back of my hand, you know, like I have my little soft keys, I'm like all comfortable, you know, so
But
it's
just
just,
think of it as like the first time you transition from a Canon to a red.
I know,
Like you have to learn everything, right?
I know, so true, so true. But it's like I have the hydrogen. Like what? Like I can't walk around with this and like and have the hairy like I've been
So
like
So you just focus on composition, and your husband is the DP of the team, right? Or
well,
how
I mean
how does that work?
we both play DP. I run a camera a
Like
lot of the
depending on
time.
the job.
Yeah. So a lot of the time, like when for instance, like when we have to do like a Ronin shot, he's the guy to do it because he has the strength and everything. But I'm also there to like help with the lighting, help with like the composition, and like, hey, like let's maybe like parallax this way, or hey, maybe let's like come in this way. I kind of like help give like more, I kind of like help give direction too. But like when we're not doing that, if we're running like 2 cameras, it's usually like I'm on B cam, he's on A cam. But I mean, a lot of the times, like he's been great. He's been really been like putting me in positions and allowing me to like run A cam for a lot of like other corporate clients and stuff like that. And I mean, honestly, it's like it's a great thing because like not too many like women per se like get an opportunity to have these chances, and it's great that he's allowing me to like have that position and like allow me to get comfortable and to learn to use my voice in that way. So it's pretty awesome.
That's cool. So at what point, because like I don't know if you went through this scale up, but like with my team, it was, or with most people I've worked with also, it's people start with like getting the cameras first because that's priority for filmmaking, right? And then at what point did you start needing good sound or good lights to start coming into play?
Weddings.
Weddings?
That's where I learned that having a good Sennheiser lapel is crucial because you got to get the grooms like emotional tears. And so like that's where we learned like audio was crucial because audio was selling our wedding videos, getting that emotional like tone and everything. So audio was definitely, and then the lighting. If we didn't know like if we weren't knowledgeable of how to use like our natural lighting that we're given, or like usually we always use LED panels because it was so dark in those places sometimes. But like how to actually use it and diffuse it and like make it look like nice and not like so shiny in their face kind of a thing when they're like partying, you know what I'm saying? Like like definitely in college we really started like realizing how important and how crucial those things were to filmmaking. And over the years we've slowly been like growing our lighting. I mean, that's still like one of our big stronghold things today is like you can have any camera in the world, but if you don't have good lighting, it's not gonna look good. I mean, look at my camera right now. Like
It's like when you watch those like indie films and then you're like, why does this scene look so uncomfortable?
yeah. Or like the light is just like way too close or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my gosh.
They're all blown up like, oh.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, we've been just wrapping up on our, we actually have an independent feature film that we just wrapped up on. It's called
Oh,
Skate
that's
Shop.
exciting.
It's called Skate Shop, the movie. And so what we've learned is that like we have a lot of talented like individuals that live around us that are like down to work for free or like deferred pay.
Yeah.
And so we're like, you know what? We have the gear, we have the ability, we have like the crew. We can do this for a low budget. Like, let's see how like low budget we can make it, but make it still a super high quality film.
Mm-hmm.
So our tactic with this movie was to like obviously have a great story, but to really include like influencers. So we have about like 3 different influencers but all 3 have over like
local influencers?
Yeah, one wasn't, which was like crazy. So we have this kid who's really into like, he's a sneakerhead and like loves Supreme and everything like that. His name's Blazenberry. So he has like a cameo spot in it. So we have like a little bit of like the fashion kids, and it's more of our target audience a little bit too. And then we also have like a really big skateboard name. His name is Andy Schrock. Him and his son have a lot of YouTube videos, and they have a huge channel. And so he actually flew himself out from Ohio, like, and pretty much like donated his time and everything to come hang out with us and everything. And it was so incredible. It was so cool because we ended up flying up there for him and shooting a commercial for him for his skateboard brand and everything. So it was cool.
It was like a trade.
Yeah,
Come help us. We'll come help you.
So good, yeah. And so it was like so awesome. And then we were also able to like just really have like a great like editing team on this. Like right now they're like in post right now for it, and it's like I just love other people editing your work. It's like it's something that like, not to say I'm not talented in it, it's just I love seeing people like take my work and like make it their own in a way.
Yeah.
And because I may have not cut something the way they had done, and I'd be like, wow, like they chose like the best moment of that like part and everything.
That's
But
like
like,
the difference between like a super good editor and then someone who does just dabbling when it's needed.
oh my gosh, and for an independent feature film, like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, that is very tedious. Like that is like incredible for like,
How long did it take for you guys to do prep work on this film, and what was the process of like
we
recruiting and all that? And
yeah, we had always like talked about it. Never
Mhm.
really did anything. We always talked about how we were going to do this. It probably went on for like 3 years. And then, yeah, so we had always talked about it for years. And then finally, we were just like, all right, here's the story A, B, C. And then we had our friend write it up. It maybe took about like 4 months. We figured out our locations. We kept everything local. Everything, we didn't want to be driving around. We didn't want to be like
How many
wasting our
scenes was it,
time.
or how many locations?
It was about maybe 7 to 8 locations, but they were all within like a nice little radius. So every time when we went to film, we made sure we tried to get like the most out of like each location and
Hmm.
like throughout the whole entire day. So we were shooting a lot in like just small towns. So literally we would just hop across the street and we have a whole nother set, you know? So
Just
it's
run and gun style, or like?
um some like the street skating, yes, because we have a lot of just like street skating. So we have a lot of that, but there's a lot of like bigger scenes where we've had to use like 12 cars to like light it like a huge crowd of like people and stuff like that. But it took us about like, we started last year, and so it's about taking us a full year because we started in the summer last year, and we're just now finishing up wrapping now. So we had to wait for over the winter time for the leaves to come back. So for all the outdoor
For the
safety,
consistency.
yes. Like wait, the leaves aren't on now, so so we kind of had to like wait, and so we didn't want to wait, but I mean, it was definitely necessary, and I think we definitely got a lot of cooler shots now, though. That's for sure.
How did you like shooting like a film versus shooting like corporate videos or like
Oh,
event coverage type videos?
good question. Honestly, it's like I have such a love for film. Like I really do. I have a passion. Like I could seriously go for like 14 hours a day on set. Like that's one
Hmm.
thing that my dad like instilled in me. You go 120% kind of a thing. And so like films can be very very tiring, and it can really like wear your body down like after like long days and everything after a while. But
It doesn't seem that way from like outsider's perspective, but when you're on
oh
set
no,
for that
when you're
long,
on, oh my gosh, you're like sweating, breaking nails, getting like just all dirty and dusty. Like you're like breaking your back to make this shot like epic.
it's
And
the
like,
beyond the frame stuff that nobody sees.
yes, oh my gosh, that's where like the hard work and like the sweat. I'm telling you, like if that's the best way to learn. If you're not sweating, you're not really learning. Like
Yeah,
you're not really
facts.
putting in the effort to like really make yourself better, you know? So like, I don't know, it's just always been a thing to where like I kind of do love corporate because sometimes, or most of the times, I'll be real, most of the times you'll make more money on a corporate set doing like a 3 to 4 hour job than you do in like a whole week. But I will
Mhm.
say the market is a little bit different, like out here. Like I'm not union, so I don't necessarily always get union pay, but that's what we ask for. Like that's like kind of the standard still. But like at the same time, like we own our own reds, and we have the ability to like offer certain clients almost like a discounted rate as for camera rental and operator.
Yeah.
And as me, like if they just want one camera, I like work as an AC. And so we're able to like kind of bundle like our production and make it seem more like enticing for other people to invest their products in us and our company. But corporate is definitely my favorite, I gotta say, because there's been times where I'll go out there and just film for an hour, and what they're giving us is just utterly ridiculous, and I'm just like, wow, like this is so incredible. Like I don't know, it makes me second guess films. It makes me just want to only work on my own films, kind of a thing.
Like using your corporate work to fund your personal projects, pretty
That
much.
is what we did, and that is what we did. Yep. And that's what we're doing now. Now that we're like still investing in our gear, but we're really trying to invest in those projects because we can kind of see the bigger picture of like, hey, if we invest like 10, 12, maybe even like $15,000 into like a small film, like who knows like how much we can make like when we sell it. Like what if we just gave it to one of our Instagram like influencers who has, we'll just say, 1 million. If he charges $1 for that video, you have 1 million right there. Well, if you have another influencer that has another 1 million, then ask him to like sell it for that. I mean, it's all about just like really kind of thinking of like where you can go with this. Like I absolutely love short films, but it's hard for me just to like sit there and just wait for it to hit in a festival, you know? Like
Yeah.
I would rather really use that time and that money to really be like, hey, like I can make something that I can sell. Like it's done. Not like I'm gonna wait for somebody to invest in me and invest in my project, which I would absolutely love, but like at the same time, like I don't really have the knowledge to like go out and like find somebody, hey, can you please give me $1 million? You know, like I'm not really like knowledgeable on how to actually like
That's where
get
your
money.
husband comes in.
Exactly. But still, I mean, like we're just so like focused on like the little flips. And now with coronavirus coming around and all these like small crews,
Did it hit you guys like
yeah,
really hard?
I mean,
Okay.
I mean it did, but I will say now like it's not as like I don't know, people aren't as taking it as seriously. Like not as many masks are being worn anywhere here or anything. I mean, there's some like in certain like when you go to like grocery store or something, but like out and about, like not really. Not. How about for you guys?
Here in California,
Are y'all still like really like under lockdown still
we're
or?
not in lockdown, but there's talk of relocking down on a more strict
Oh,
protocol, which is like a huge punch in our industry because the film industry is like kind of in limbo right now.
yeah.
A ton of projects are either got canceled or pushed till next year because they don't even bother trying to guess when this year it might reopen again. And it's been quite something else. And that's why we started doing this so that we can like, might as well take this opportunity to interview and get stories from a bunch of filmmakers and just share their their experiences
That is such
to
a great
the
idea.
audience.
Geez, I hope you guys like open up and like start working soon,
Yeah,
man.
well, I mean, we're running off of a skeleton crew right now, at least like with FilmGear.
Oh,
So, and doing our best to stay relevant in a way.
that's the same way we've been doing it. Is just really small crews, and like we've
Mhm.
been making sure our clients feel okay. Like, hey, we're gonna make sure we wear our mask, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, it was crazy because like the first job that we ended up getting out of the coronavirus was actually like a pretty cool advertising agency. So
Mm-hmm.
it was they were doing a sponsor ad for this NASCAR driver. His name's Corey LaJoey, and one of his sponsors is called Built Bar, and so it's like this bar. And so the whole it was like a whole campaign. We spent the whole day with them, and the director was so awesome. He had these great ideas, and it was all just kind of funny stuff. Like so one of the scenes, he's like, he's like, okay, man, now walk in slow mo, and it cuts to this epic slow mo shot, 120 frames of him just like going through the smoke and everything, going through the car, cool. And then it cuts to my angle, which is like a BTS angle, and the director's like, no, you don't have to walk slow motion. It's going in slow motion. You just see him going like all in slow mo because he told him to like it's slow mo. And so it's just like little funny things like that. And so like that really gave me like the faith that like, okay, film is slowly coming back. All right, we'll be okay. Slowly
That's
but
really
surely
cool.
it's coming.
So like doing a lot of those like corporate stuff, like if you're working with a client that has a sense of humor, that appreciates some fun stuff or like something really creative, you really do get more
Oh,
creative prospects out of doing those shorter projects and more experimental stuff versus like a film where there's like so much structure and rules and stuff,
oh
right?
yeah, definitely. That client was like a great example of that because like the NASCAR driver was having so much fun on set, and he was like
But
really
that means
like,
everybody's having fun on set.
oh my gosh, like he's probably my favorite NASCAR driver now, just because he was just so nice and humble, and just like he was just down to do anything. Like we even set up our Ronin, and we had rigged two rails, like follow focus rails. And we had a bar, one of the protein bars, like attached onto it. We're like running it up to the face, and like it's just like an added cut, but it looks like the bar, like you're following the bar, like as it's being thrown, and he like catches it in his mouth and everything like that. So like he was just having a ball. Like it was such a great shoot.
And that was like your the first shoot that you guys got to do since quarantine?
That was like our the first shoot that we got after quarantine and everything like that. But we still have a lot of NASCAR stuff coming up. I'm noticing this year, maybe our NASCAR year, we've had a lot of NASCAR clients recently. Like we're about to do another sponsor video. It's called Menards. So they're kind of like the Lowe's, like Home Depot store for like the up north, like northeast kind of area. So we're about to like focus on them and another driver, Matt Crafton, who drives in the NASCAR in the truck series. So that will be a really fun thing to do coming up.
So what's your process of like from getting a client to figuring out how they want to shoot the stuff to shooting it to release?
So it kind of depends because we have CLT production, and then we're also freelancers.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes people hire CLT production, and when they hire us, we handle from the client, from like the vision to like the
For
concept.
those who don't know, what's you said COT production?
Yes, CLT.
CLT. So
So
for those that don't know, what does that stand for something?
that stands for Charlotte,
Uh,
which
okay.
is which is the city that we kind of base our company out of. So it's kind of like
Okay.
it's technically the airport code for the for the city.
Okay.
So at CLT production, we handle like the client from like the beginning to the end, from like their vision to like whatever like re-edits they want done. So we handle that the whole entire thing. But when we're freelancers and we get hired on by like other companies, for instance, that Built Bar one, we just get hired in as crew. We just come in and like we set up the lights, we do the DPing, and then we get our shots and we pretty much leave. Like that's the end of it. We don't have to edit, which is so nice. And like so like those kind
So
of
what's the back and forth like for up until the shoot though? Like, do you create like a treatment or
yeah.
how does that?
So usually when we do that at CLT production, we usually write a script out for the client. Like we try to like get the concept, like a concept out of like what they're going to be seeing at like this point, what visions like they want to see, and we kind of like storyboard out like what we're going to be getting that day. And then we go into like, okay, what do we need? What camera? What lenses? Like what environments do we need? Actors? And that's where the more pre-production like goes into play. And then we try to keep our like client involved as much as they can, depending if they want to be or not. But always just double checking with them before like we get everything. Like always have somebody to like clear off something like, hey, like I really like that idea, or like, hey, let's change this up. So we usually always have like a go-to person that we're always like talking with. So usually we're just like buddy with them for like however long the project is, and we really like work together and get it done.
Over there, are there a lot of like different, pretty much usual clients that you work with? I'm just trying to understand like the dynamic of like an area outside of LA for shooting. So, or is it just always new stuff coming in constantly?
We have a few recurrent clients that have like scheduled days throughout their month. Usually they have, those are like big corporations. They have like weekly like announcements or like monthly announcements that they want to put out with the CEO or something. So we have a few like recurring clients like that, but most of the time we're getting like a bunch of new stuff all the time. If it's not like using a same director or same producer, we get that a lot, but it's always like a different job, even with them.
And how do you find these jobs? Or like, is it just word of mouth, or like your
Oh,
husband's just like cold calling constantly, or?
honestly, he's killer at the lead game. Any of those lead sites, like he is on it like 6 a.m. in the morning. He's like up at it, doing it. Like I'll help out and we'll be like searching like different websites, and we'll kind of like tag team, like, all right, I'll look at this website today, you look at this website today. And pretty much the best thing is to have a really killer opening email for the client. Like 9 times out of 10, we've been able to book a client and they've told us that they've seen about like 200 other people's emails and ours stuck out. So like there's something to say about having a great email and like a great just like reel to really show the clients and really know what that client is actually looking for, and like develop certain reels for that. Like you wouldn't send a corporate.
Oh, so it's literally like, it's almost like a resume, a different resume for
Yeah,
every job, a different reel for every job.
exactly. Because I've had clients tell me before that they've been sent like music videos and they're just like, wait,
It's like,
it's
that's
not what
me.
I asked for.
I'm not doing a music video.
Yeah.
You don't
So
qualify.
just like, yeah. So like little things like that. Like, yeah, you may want to be showing off cool lighting, but is your client really gonna want to do that, see that kind of work when they're like trying to do something a certain kind of look or certain kind
So what do you include in a killer email? Like, what do you consider a killer email, like a breakdown besides the reel?
of just, I mean, that's a question for Kurt, but because it's literally, we literally have like a templated out email that we use
Oh,
every
okay.
time.
So,
And
so you guys like research, like, you comb through the website of your client, kind of get a grasp and understanding of what they're about, and then formulate like a pitch essentially
yes,
to,
yes.
to kind of suit them. And usually who in the company would be the one receiving said email? Like, is it like the marketing
Yeah.
department, or
Usually,
like,
usually the marketing department, like 9 times
okay.
out of 10, it's usually that. And then sometimes you'll get a few just like smaller business owners
Hmm.
that have budgets that you can work with, that like sometimes you'll work like hand in hand with and everything.
Okay. And like when you say small business owners, like what budget ranges do you usually find comfortable enough for you guys to work in the parameters of?
That all depends on the project. Like, I mean, if it was like, if they say they just wanted like a simple like interview, like say they wanted just like a simple like say it's a small business and they just want to be like, hey, get to know us kind of a thing. Like
Hmm.
usually our like full day rate is like 800, but if we're bringing out the camera and the lights, we're initially asking for like 1,200. So like we tried to push our client up depending on like what they actually need. We try to like to educate them like, hey, like if you want to make your business look really bright and nice, we need to bring a 12 bar in here because some of our lights may not be able to fill this room up, you know? So that's where we can kick the budget up on some of these clients and everything. But we try to work with a lot of local business owners. If like sometimes like I mean you can try to barter, but like I don't know. I haven't really done that too much, but I mean
There's only
like
so much bartering you can do. You got bills to
yeah,
pay.
exactly. But we're really flexible with our clients, definitely. And so like and it also depends on like, hey, like do we really want to get that next new accessory? Like, all right, let's just get it for 800. Like, just come on. It's only like 2 hours. Like, come on. Like, you know, like stuff like that. So like sometimes like you can't always pick. Like you can't always get to like film all the glamorous stuff. I can't always like film the NASCAR stuff all the time. So because
Yeah.
like we do this for a living, so you kind of have to like do the like unflattering stuff, like crawl in a crawl space and film for this like really big air conditioning company. But I mean, you're stuck underneath this house, but you're getting epic pay though. So it's cool. It's cool things like that that you get to like always. You're always in a new situation with film, which like I absolutely love.
It's like an adventure with every job.
It really is. I've had like some like awesome stories and awesome like experiences on sets of like where I've gotten to go and or like who I've gotten to meet, and I'm just like, wow, is this really happening right now? Like,
You still get starstruck?
it's not that I don't get starstruck. I'm just more like, oh my god, like they're just like me. Like they're just like a normal person. I don't know. Like I've been able to meet really humble stars, I guess you could say. So, which is like I'm kind of blessed for that. So, like for instance, like one time, like we were filming for the All Star. There was the like that big basketball event. We had like the All Star weekend in Charlotte a few years ago, and we were working for Bleacher Report, and we were just covering the McDonald's all-star players and just filming them interacting like with the fans and doing their basketball stuff. Well, the producer, who also ended up being somehow connected to the Fry Festival, he like somehow helped created that video. I have no idea. He was an awesome, really cool dude. But somehow like 2 Chainz was performing that night, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, guys, come here, come here, come here. You just follow me." And so we were like following back around like this music hall. Then all of a sudden I realized like I'm backstage. I'm like right behind the LED walls, and I like poke my head out and I see the whole entire crowd out there, and I'm like, "Oh my god, do we get to film on stage?" And he's like, "Yeah, go out there if you want." And I'm just out there just living it like, oh my gosh, like I don't know. It's such a cool vibe. I will say, like the energy, like especially in like filming live events like that, like the energy for filming is like incredible. Like it's such a high, like off of just like everyone just being like, oh, like it's so
That's
cool.
what a lot of people don't realize. Like a camera is basically like your press pass to
It
any
is.
event if you apply. Like I've done some event
Oh my
shooting. Like I did a show where I think it was like the former drummer of System of the Down. He wanted to like
god. Oh
go
yeah.
solo as like a almost like a drummer slash like dubstep artist,
Boy, he's
and we
incredible.
got booked to shoot his video, and like we're going through the green room and wherever we want at the club and everything. Like, whoa, this is so cool. Like
Oh, it's
we
so
are the
cool.
people on stage.
I know, right?
Like, hey, we're here to shoot. Just show your wristband. Walking everywhere you want to go.
Like, yeah, I'm important.
And we're just like some nerds, just camera nerds, just like, yeah, this is so cool. Like trying to make everything look super fun.
Oh yeah, I've been, yeah, I'm with them. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we're with the DJ. Did you have a chance to meet Two Shanks?
Oh yeah, it's funny because I also got to meet his DJ too. It's funny that you say that because his DJ was from North Carolina, and so that was just like a funny talk to him being at High Point, and I shot like his university's like sorority video, like something crazy, and I'm like, what? Like So it was cool how like that kind of crossed paths in a way.
Such a small world.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But like 2 Chainz, he was like really cool. We it was funny because like because we were like with McDonald's, you know, and so they were giving out free McDonald's burgers, and like the producer was like, "Hey, let's try to get 2 Chainz to grab this burger and try to get it on film." And they try, and this person comes over and tries to hand him it, and he's just like, "No, thank you." We're like, fail. Oh man. It would have been epic for McDonald's, but oh well.
Yeah, be a great plug.
Yeah, I know. 2 Chainz after show snack. So
So what like since more and more businesses are starting to go online, do you see like in the near future and new opportunities for more like filming in terms of content for these businesses trying to throw themselves online more, especially since you do a lot of corporate type shoots?
Actually, it's so funny. The coincidence of this one client we had, right before the coronavirus hit, we were working for Brunel University, which is located in Georgia. And as we were filming, we were doing their videos they were promoting their online education.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were interviewing the professors, and it's for a way for like the students online to get to know their professor without actually being able to physically meet them face to face.
Yeah.
And so as we were working on this project for them, we ended up getting shut down the second or the third to the last day, like because of the coronavirus.
Whoa.
This school, like, and this school president told us, she's like, we're so glad we got as much as we did, because now we have to transition to like online learning, and more kids and more people are going to be turning to more online learning than they are to come to a university. Mm-hmm. Like whether or not they're scared to come back after this or not, like more likely we're going to have more online like students. And so with that being said, I feel like a lot more schools, universities, a lot more like educational places are really going to be taking like a lot more video content and need like a lot more video needs for that, to get their education out there so students can go to these classes and actually learn too.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much why I didn't know how to do broadcast recording until this virus hit. I'm like, okay, time to pick up a new skill.
I know, isn't it crazy that what you learned though? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, like I learned how to use OBS, run the cameras and sound and stuff like just in the past two months, and I'm still building it up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's tricky. That's real tricky.
Oh yeah. But I can see like you said, like classes are probably have to go online. Businesses might have to do online demos. Like everything's gonna be changing up. So like to not require a huge team on set, like I decided like, you know, maybe it's a good idea to do broadcast style and then just like have camera placements and then just transitions all right there. No post-production needed.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. Like I absolutely love that. I do a lot of I don't actually set it up, but I do a lot of the directing and film for like my church or whatever, and we do like a lot of live production with like 8 different cameras going on and everything. So like I absolutely love like the whole broadcast, like live, like all right, we're filming right now, and no edits, like
right. Like the less edits you can accomplish by the end of your shoots, the better.
Oh yes.
What a workflow change that is.
Everyone's life so much easier. It's so nice.
So like do you guys have anything else lined up for the rest of this year, or any like big things coming in?
Yeah, like I said, we have that Menard shoot coming up. We have like a bunch of just smaller, just corporate stuff. Like our re-existing clients are actually, we're going to be starting back up with them again here in August. So that'll be exciting. So, I mean, slowly but surely stuff is just slowly just rolling in. I will say when we get our clients, we really don't have, like, we don't really spend, like, usually they want their video soon. So it's not like it's
you want it yesterday.
Yeah. So we usually don't get to have like 3 months advance to like plan something. It's usually all done within like a month, like
Mhm.
pre-planning, like production and the post and everything.
Wow. So that
So
means you have built up quite a reputation
uh,
over the past 8 years, and like your sales teaming husband do, and you like are super on it to just keep the jobs coming in at a consistent flow. Then at
yeah,
this point,
yeah.
that's
And
really
honestly,
amazing.
yeah, and he's done a great job by just like getting our name out there and just like the local area. Like if somebody is not able to shoot something or somebody knows like needs a red, we'll have people like refer us and stuff like that, which is great for like the
Do you,
film
do you
community.
sub rent at all your equipment or
We're actually gonna start
ah
now that we're getting the Airy Mini, we're gonna start renting out my first red, the MX. So I'm like slowly like, no, my baby. But yeah, I mean, but now we're finally getting into the idea of like the rental business. So like that's our next like smaller little like side
There's a lot
hustle.
of share grid out there, right?
Yes, there is.
There is.
I love share grid. Like we've definitely gotten like a lot of good stuff from there, like when we need it and everything. But that's where we're considering putting our gear up on.
Well, when you guys plan on picking up a ton more lights, don't forget about us.
I've already planned it. I've already have like this imagination, like, all right, my next big thing is I'm gonna have a FilmGear rental truck out in North Carolina. So I'm gonna
Oh,
keep hustling till I get that truck though. So I need to get the truck first.
yeah, well, let us know whatever you might need, and we'll definitely work with you and help you figure out ways to like get to it. Are you planning on getting like a 5-ton truck, or you're talking about like maybe like a
Oh
sprinter van
God,
type
no.
situation?
Oh, honestly, like knowing us, we'd probably start with a really cheap, affordable like
Oh, so
van.
like the smaller cargo vans, right?
Yeah,
Like
and then possibly
Ford
work our way up.
Transits.
Yeah, and then work our way up to like a 1 ton truck or something like that.
Well, if you're
But
doing a lot of corporate stuff, like the smaller
oh,
package is like your bread
my
and butter, pretty much. That's gonna go out the
my
most.
SUV is packed to the ceiling, so it's like it's
What do you pack it into?
oh, what car it is or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's a really small like old Mercedes like GLK, so it's like really tiny, and I'm like, gosh,
Ooh.
I need something bigger now. Like it's more like a mid-size SUV rather than full size. So I'm like,
Hmm.
I need the full size now or something. I just need like a little just beater thing because gosh, oh my gosh, like I have so much gear now, like it's getting like a hassle. Like the puzzle piece, everything in like
Tetris
Jenga.
every
Yes.
time. Then you've worked your way up and earned the ability to just nicely roll stuff in and out.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like I love it. Anytime we rent our like friends 1 ton truck, it's just like heaven. It's just like I love this. I have space to breathe in here and everything.
You can
Like I can
stretch.
stretch, like I can take my breaks in there if I want. Like
What's your usual go-to bundle of lights that you use the most, usually for like corporate shoots? Like
um
types of lights.
so I use a lot of like 120Ds per se. So I use a lot of not so much high powered lights. We usually have we put like domes on them to help diffuse and like grid them out and everything. But we usually have like either some kind of a backlight, a hair light, key light. But I mean, I could drop a bunch of different like brand names, but honestly, I went all film gear stuff. But but mostly just like 120Ds and everything like that.
Okay.
Usually. And then a few quasars like here and there, usually for like a hair light or something like that.
You can't go wrong with those. Like you
I
use
know.
them.
They're
They're
so
so flexible.
and they're magnetic.
Yeah.
There's been so many times where I've been in like really bad like rooms where it's just like those styrofoam like wall like ceilings and they have like the metal grids in them and all I do is just like pop up a little bit and just pop it up there. So nice. That was one actually challenge we had with skate shop was in the actual skate shop. Certain skate shops we were like to get allowance for, like the one that we actually got allowance for had very low ceilings.
Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't really get our like lights like high enough, and like we would remove like some of the like tiles and stuff like that, but because of the grids and everything in the tile, it would cast like shadows sometimes. So a lot of times we had to rely a lot on our quasars and everything to magnetic, like put them up on the ceiling like that and like brighten up some things. So those are like a godsend for that. I was like, thank goodness they're
The
magnetic.
invention of those two LED tube lights.
Oh yes,
It
those are like the
changed
best.
the world. Even like in
Oh
the,
yeah.
you know, there's not like a music video where you don't see them anymore these days.
Oh my gosh, I know. They're like a necessity. It's like it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife kind of a light thing.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, I mean, I think we've covered a ton of stuff, and like it was really interesting to hear about your progress of moving from like, because most people that I've talked to so far, like they started off as PAs and worked their way in, like seems like right off the bat, because you went for like the self-made business. You like went in like right as like a cinematographer or a camera operator, like immediately worked your way to like everything you have here. And that's like such an interesting story. And for you guys to like to hear a story from a place like outside of Los Angeles and how you worked your way up, that's amazing. And I hope our audience can pick up a few of your tips and pointers
Oh yes, definitely, definitely.
for like when they're trying to get their productions off the ground as well. And you know, do you have any plugs you want to drop right now?
I mean, thank you, FilmGear, for like having me. This is like incredibly awesome, like to be given this opportunity, and I've absolutely had like the best blast and everything. And shout out to Cartoni. Thank you for the tripod. I absolutely love y'all's like red lock flow system. It's like it's amazing. I absolutely love it. And I gotta show all you guys some other new stuff that I have coming out that I'll be posting soon. So I'm excited about it.
Sweet. And if you have
Yeah.
any links, just like send them our way so that we can like attach them in the credits and stuff for you guys,
Yes,
right?
so follow us at CLT Production, wherever you want to put it. And then also follow me at Sarah TangBraden, and also my best friend, my teammate, and also our best sales team in the world, Kurt Braden _DP. So we'll follow that too.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much again for joining us today on this lovely Saturday. We had a little bit technical difficulties getting it going, but all worked out. And I look forward to maybe doing like a follow-up interview maybe in a few months, see where you
Oh,
guys are at. That'd be super,
definitely.
super cool. I had such a blast talking with you, and I hope you have
Same
a
here.
wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.
Month.
You too.
Year. Right.
Well, thank you so much. Bye.